What is up, everybody? Good evening. Good evening. My name is Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're with Hill City Paranormal. And tonight we have some hometown guests, which is super exciting to us because we don't get to collaborate and hear enough from those that are just a hop, skip, and a jump away. So without further ado, I introduce to you Ronnie Anderson and Daryl Paulette with Bedford Paranormal.
I've been waiting on this.
I know. Sean's been excited. He's like, Bedford.
So, I've been waiting on it too.
For those that don't know, Sean's a Bedford County native. So this is a near and dear show, so to speak. He's a JF graduate. Hey D, how are you? For those that don't know, I'm sure those that have tuned in, that's Mama D. That's this one's mom.
Yeah, she tried to say I didn't acknowledge her.
We acknowledge her every chance we get. So
you better acknowledge your mama.
That's right.
And she's a huge believer in the paranormal, has had a lot of paranormal experiences, and she has a lot of gifts that she's passed on to me. So anyway, Mom, I love you.
So Ronnie, Daryl, whoever wants to go first, whoever wants to take the lead, tell me a little bit about Bedford Paranormal. Like, how did you guys get started? When, where, why?
All right. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, because y'all are a little bit on the light side on this end. So Ronnie, go ahead while I play with this thing and we try to get it fixed. All right, Bedford Paranormal. Excuse me. Alan May is the founder of Bedford Paranormal. He founded the group in 2006. And shortly after I joined, and we had a couple members that stepped, away from it a few years ago for personal reasons, family matters. And I'd say 6-8 years ago, we got Noah Coleman, and then Angie Dameron, Brenda Harmon, and Lisa Wilson had worked with Bedford Paranormal, just networking throughout the years. It was just them and us. And we were doing all kinds of events and investigations. We were kind of networking with them. And finally in 2020, we went to Mount Airy to do a private investigation for a lady. And we were sitting at dinner. It was just me, Alan, and Noah. And we were like, all these years we've been working with Angie and the girls, we said, why don't we just, make them a part of Bedford Paranormal? We can change the name, whatever they want to do. And we decided to ask them. So our EnigmaCon in 2021, 22, we made an announcement in front of everybody that they were joining Bedford Paranormal. And shortly after that, we had networked with Daryl a few times down at Clover Hill and St. Albans, and Daryl was sitting on the sidelines just watching everybody, but he always had his hands in helping whatever we did. So we said, well, Daryl, just jump on board, and he accepted, and now we got 7 members, and that's how we want to keep it. We always had a small group,
right?
And it keeps a lot of drama down, and we got the right people. We have no drama. It's like a family. Even though the girls, they're from, we got one from West Virginia, one from Kentucky, and one from Ohio, and we talk every day. We talk every day.
See, and that's awesome. That's what I think that, teams need to be about. Crystal Hill says, hi, everyone. Chuck Whitby says, hey, y'all. Crystal Hill's with Ghost Hunting Housewives. I don't know if you were able to tune in, but that's a team of 3. Just 3 housewives that share a common interest in the paranormal. And so I think it's super important to keep team sizes to a reasonable amount, because once you get into like 10, 11, 15, 20 members, things like that, yeah, sure. If you're going to do, a $1,700, $1,800 investigation at a sanitarium, that makes that cost very affordable. But then you deal with other things like the drama or those that can't make it, or, a lot of the time I see with teams that people want to be a part of a paranormal team, but they don't want to pay their way either. So when those paid investigations come about, all of a sudden they can't make it. You know, but
we have always kept it small and been able to do big investigations privately. And we were so thankful for that. But now all these places are just too expensive to go. Yep. And we're just right now, basically, I mean, we're friends with everybody. I think it might be one group out there that, you know, we don't get along with, but we just let them do them and we stay away from them.
That's right.
But we pretty much network with anybody, and it goes well. We just started doing it here recently, though, because nobody can afford all these places we go to.
Exactly. And networking is important. I mean, we all share a common interest. There's always going to be that one team that has their own, you know, personal vendetta against another team, and that's fine. They can keep it over there in their corner. We don't care. I'm sure you don't care. You know,
we're coming to see you, Crystal.
I don't know. We have good insight.
Stay away from drama.
With us.
Yeah, Crystal, we're going to bring Bedford Paranormal with us. We all coming down there. Have some plates ready.
Food. Talk about that.
Crystal's in the deep, dirty South, Alabama and Louisiana and all those areas. So we going down there.
We've been to Louisiana. Our resume, we have. I mean, it's important to us, and I only bring it up because I'm just proud of what we've done. And we've been under the radar for years and years and years, but we have a resume of over 80 major but private investigations, anywhere from the Stanley Hotel to the Myrtles Plantation, Ohio State, St. Albans. I mean, we've been all over the place. And we have so much stuff that we want to start sharing. And we're working with I don't know if you know Miranda Young, the Ghost Biker Explorations.
I feel like I follow that page, but I didn't know that was her name.
Yeah. Thanks to Daryl and help from her that we're getting, well, I'm not doing it, but Daryl's getting Clover Hill, which y'all have booked up and going and ready for private investigations. That's a great place. You won't be disappointed. But her production stuff, she's filling me in on how to do, and we're going to start sharing all of our stuff from way back when.
I just we got two and two together. Daryl, you're the one I booked Clover Hill with.
That's right.
Put that together. I feel ashamed of myself right now.
He's a little slow.
Sometimes. Sorry to interrupt you. I just bing, a whole light bulb went off.
Yeah, he's the man when it comes to Clover Hill.
Clover Hill.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about y'all coming.
Yeah, we're ready. We like to have a good time. We like to, definitely put our handiwork to use, I guess, so to speak. For those that don't know, we've got a combined experience of over 20 years, I would say. Definitely. So we're looking forward to that. And I'm glad that you're opening up that location because it's not too far. You know what I'm saying?
No, almost in the back door. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've been hogging it for about 10 or 12 years now. So I figured it's probably about time that I start sharing it.
Maria said, have y'all been to Danville Satan's Bridge?
No.
I haven't either. I've heard of it. This is actually the second time that I've heard of it.
Nubs was telling me about that.
Yeah. Now, we have gone to Gravity Hill in Danville. We have done that. Just because we're science geeks. And I'm like, all right, people are bullshitting. My car is not going to drive backwards up a hill. Everybody's full of crap, right? So we go out there and we took his truck. He has a lifted GMC, a heavy truck. And we took it on purpose because I'm like, nothing's going to push this heavy thing, right? Damned if the truck didn't go uphill backwards. And I have it on video and I need to find it. And we did this probably, I know if people were driving by, they thought we were absolutely bonkers because we did this at least 10 times. We were like little kids. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. I don't know what the science is behind it, but if you've never been, definitely go.
Yeah, have y'all heard of that?
No, I haven't.
I have not heard of that one, but I've heard of one somewhere that is similar to it, where your car would be pushed uphill over a railroad track. But I haven't heard of the one in Danville.
So you can actually Google it, like, and it gives you the exact coordinates or whatever of Gravity Hill, and you go, and the urban legend is at the top of the hill. There was a witch that ran for sanctuary up there, and she pulls you up the hill. That's the urban legend behind it. Okay, but there, again, being a science geek, there's got to be something behind that scientifically, and I don't know what it is, except for the it's in the name, Gravity Hill. So you drive to Gravity Hill, you go up and you turn around, then you drive down, you stop at the stop sign, you put your car in neutral, and your car starts going uphill backwards.
and it is uphill.
Yes, and it gains speed.
It really is uphill, and it picks up speed as you go.
It's the most bizarre thing. And like I said, I felt like a little kid on a carousel, like, let's go do it again. Let's go do it again, because
I'm not sending the video. Like, I'm in neutral, my feet are out the door, and the truck's just going backwards up the hill.
It was bizarre. And if you ever are looking for something to do with your kids or spouse or significant other or whatever, just head to Danville and just go, because it's cool. It's just neat. And it's not a really overpopulated place. Like, I feel like the people in Danville are just like, whatever, we know Gravity Hill's here. We don't care. Because there was nobody else doing this but us in the middle of a Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know. But enough about us. It's all about y'all.
That's pretty cool. That's something I'm kind of ashamed of within myself, that we're from Virginia. And I mean, we've been to a lot of places in Virginia, but a lot of stuff now, just for me sitting watching a podcast of somebody that I've never met or never known, and then I've gotten into, they've told me about a whole lot of places. See, I, up until maybe 2 years ago, I never knew about the Manor House or Cabin on 360 or any of that, Pamplin Park. And we're pretty new to that.
One in Pennsylvania. So it's got to be, if there's one in Pennsylvania, there's one in Virginia, it's got to be truly scientific.
There is one. The one in Pennsylvania is the one we kept looking at.
It's got to be like one of those glitches in like
the atmosphere. All right, Bedford Paranormal. Y'all down for a road trip? We got to do both, though.
We're always down for a road trip.
We got to do both, though.
It's just a cool.
And then we got to head on down south and get some cooking from
Crystal.
Yeah.
I just I like doing little things like that outside of actual paranormal investigating, because it's like, I feel like.
But is it paranormal?
You break it up.
Could it be paranormal?
It could be.
We don't know.
Did you take any equipment when you went, like maybe a tri-field?
We did not.
But that's a good. See, that's why I'm glad we're talking about.
We were just saying, what are we doing this weekend? Here we go. We're going to Danville.
We're going to Danville. We're taking a trip to Danville. That's what we're doing. And I'm bringing glad you said tri-field. The tri-field, and we're going to get into this, and I'm glad you brought it up. The tri-field is my go-to everywhere we're at. If the black K2 with the little lights on it is spiking, the first thing I'm going to do is pull out my tri-field and see what's going on. That's the first thing I'm going to do.
The tri-field is doing exactly what it was made for. People take these little black K2s, which they work, but they were made for me, a toy in the field.
Yeah.
It
doesn't get any better than the tri-field, because that's what it's made for.
I knew I liked you.
See, and I use the K2 a little bit differently than a lot of other people. I use the K2 as like a yes/no trigger. So I'll be like, hey, if there's a spirit in here that wants to communicate, can you make this green light go to orange? Can you make this green light go to red? Yeah. Like I don't use it like a lot of people walk around and try to find electricity with it, but like I'll sit in the middle of the room and just use it as like a yes/no.
Now, don't think I'm saying that it's not a valid piece of equipment in the field. I'm just saying that if you go somewhere like Gravity Hill and you have some kind of electromagnetic force or something there, that device is actually made for that.
Yeah, it's one of
Now, as far as a K2 meter, we got boxes of them. We use them, and that's what we use them for. I'll set them up in a room in a chair and just see if we get any responses out of it.
Right. And now you're making me want to take the tri-field down there this weekend.
Well, that's why one is $12, one is $200.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, I like where you're going with that, and let's ease into that conversation about the tri-field and the black K2. The little black K2 has its place, and I was against it for years. I never, because you're not getting an accurate reading with it. First of all, if you're trying to find power with it, do y'all agree with that? Like, before I go any further, I mean, y'all might disagree and tell me something I don't know. I learned from everybody, but if you try to find power with it, it's going to lie to you. You're not going to get an accurate reading with it. So I've seen it in places that have direct power somewhere and it not move. And then I pull out my tri-field and it lights, it's the meter goes crazy. And so it can give you a false reading. I'm more of a yes, no with it if I decide to use it.
The difference between that, the K2 and the tri-field is the K2 is also directional. If you're not standing right directly in front of it, you're not going to pick up anything.
Exactly.
Whereas the tri-field is going to pick up 180 degrees or something. You know, I don't know the specs on it, but it picks up a wider range.
Yeah.
When your K2 is just pointing whatever you're pointing it at.
Right.
So, I mean, I got a little gray one and a little black one. I've walked down a private residence, and he had a hallway that went to multiple bedrooms, and the first bedroom on the left was his office, and he had his laptop and his hard drive and all right up against the wall, and I could point it straight, but point it to the wall, and it pegged that thing into red and would not let go. But so I walked in the room and I went over there. I said, well, that's what it is, but it's directional. If I point it straight, nothing. Point it left to the room, it pegged it.
Yeah,
but it's a good device.
Yeah. The tri-field, actually, I think it'll be great for Gravity Hill too, because it picks up the earth EMF. That's the one thing I love about it. You'll get the earth reading. Wherever you're standing, it's going to give you whatever EMF is right up under you. And or whatever surrounding. So that was a good call on that, Bedford. I like that. See, I told you we need to work together.
Well, I mean, I am a fan of K2s if used properly and not like Ronnie said, like not directly. Because like this weekend, everybody was in airplane mode. We verified that that everybody was in airplane mode, and we had that K2 spike when it was in somebody's pocket near their cell phone. Even though their cell phone was in airplane mode, the K2 still spiked. So it's like, it's not my go-to. Like if it goes off, I'm 100% paranormal. Like no question about that is not what you'll ever hear out of my mouth with a K2. You know what I'm saying? Now, if a K2 is spiking and a REM pod's going off and I'm getting intelligent responses like through the spirit box all at the same time, maybe. And D Downs brought up a good point right here. She said, I'm not a big fan of equipment. I go by intuition and seeing for myself.
Like that,
The equipment itself does have a lot of flaws. It does. And, it can give you a lot of false readings. But the reason that we use equipment is for that validation of our intuition and seeing for ourselves. A ghost isn't going to walk into a room and be like, surprise, I'm here, so we're not going to physically see it ourselves. Something might get knocked off a counter or, a wall or something like that. And then all of a sudden, a piece of equipment will go off, or you'll kind of feel that energy shift in the room. So I think, again, Sean has said in his previous podcast, like that whole trifecta, like you need, if you feel the energy shift and then, a picture flies off the wall and then the REM pod goes off, well, what do you have? We can't explain that. We don't ever call anything paranormal, but we have seen a lot of things that we just can't explain.
Well, every true paranormal investigator, I've heard Ronnie say it before. I didn't know Ronnie at the time from a can of paint, but I heard him when asked, he said, what was your favorite piece of equipment? Ronnie said, myself. I heard him say, I love that. And going along with what D Down said, again, the best piece of equipment you can carry is yourself. So that, you go by intuition. And again, I love a K2 now, but I'm with you with the tri-field, brother. Can't beat it.
Well, we got a truckload of equipment, and we've gotten to the point. We got I mean, each individual person in this group has time in the field way beyond Bedford Paranormal. So, but from 2006 till 2024, we've gotten to the point where our truckload of equipment don't go half the time.
Yeah.
We'll take,
Sure.
we'll pick and choose what we want to take and we'll go. But our experiences and being together that can validate everybody, that's our best piece of equipment.
And that's a good point
Most
too.
time a voice recorder, a camera, and myself. That's about all I go with.
See, and I like that because, trust in a team is very important.
Yeah.
That's like key. If you have members on your team that you don't trust, your investigation is flawed.
We don't have to worry about that.
And then like you said, we've got a whole truck. If I took a picture, I play Tetris every time I load up my SUV. Okay, I'm like, all right, I know this box goes here and there and stuff like that. We take it, but do we use all of it? Absolutely not. But I think that it is important for each team member to have their own equipment that they prefer. You know what I'm saying? Because what I may prefer isn't what Sean prefers. I don't use the tri-field. I am a REM pod. I've said this, Ronnie, you know this. I've said this out loud. I love a REM pod. Everybody who knows me knows I love tangible equipment. I want to see lights blink and noises be made, and then I'm recently just,
I said it.
I know. I recently am just diving into, a spirit box. Again, another piece of equipment that could have cross interference. But if I get, and again, for those that don't know me, this is a No Bars Held podcast. We do have inappropriate language. So if there's any children, plug your ears. If I get "fuck you" across my spirit box, like what? You know what I'm saying? That's not coming from a radio station.
Well, let's talk about the spirit box. Bedford, how y'all feel about it?
Well, I mean, I've got one and I've used it, and and I've had stuff, good results, but it's a gray area, whether or not, you're actually getting anything. Is it more along a radio station or something like that? But
Right.
I've also had some experiences where it's not, not a channel or nothing that as far as that. It was something coming through there.
He said, "I like to have my touched."
You got to figure on your sweep speed and everything and know how many channels that thing is going through. And if you get multiple words, multiple syllables over 3, 4, 5 channels, then you got to start saying, well, it's very possible.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, when I'm listening to it, I can hear K92 pop up or whatever the AM channel it runs off of. But my first experience with it was we got one back in 2010. No. I don't know. But it was 10, 12 years ago. We went to the Myrtles plantation and we just got our first SB7. And we went out through the house and that thing just drove me absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And I didn't use it for years. It drove me nuts. And then we turn around and Alan gets us an SB11. So usually when we use that now, I tell you what we're getting more into than just individual pieces of equipment is doing different methods like the Tinny method and the Estes method.
Yeah.
Those things are pretty valid too, if they correspond. If you get something stupid with the question you ask, if it's not relatable or relating to anything, then you throw it out. It could be the radio station.
Yeah.
Right.
But
And we experienced that just recently. Actually, this weekend, we did the cabin on the 360. I went ahead and went under in the basement, and absolutely nothing matched up to anything they said.
Let's pause for a second. Ronnie, why don't you explain us what those 2 methods are? We've got listeners who are new to the field, and I would like you to explain us what those 2 methods are.
All right, but
you got
Tinny
the full
method was created by John Tinny. I don't know if anybody's heard him. He's pretty big in the paranormal field, but he created this method where as a team, you sit there and you lock hands in a circle, and you lay your recorder in the center of the circle with a flashlight, and everybody focuses on the flashlight, kind of connect with each other. You have an opening person, and usually the first time around your session, the first person starts with welcome and thank you, and then ask a question. And you wait for a period 4 to 5 seconds. The next person in line asks the exact same question. You go all the way around. You thank them for the session, and then you go back and like a real time listen to, like a burst session.
Mm.
And we've gotten responses at St. Albans. I mean, I can send you the recording. It's pretty intense. It go before we even get started. We hear a sound in the ceiling in the King Center, and Noah, one of our members, he's actually my stepson. He looks up and there's a camera there. He goes, "That's the IR clicking on and off with the camera." And then all of a sudden he says, "Something's really heavy on my shoulders." And no sooner than he said that, the nastiest growl you ever heard in your life growl. And we went on with the session and didn't hear it until we did the playback. But that's a tinny method. And then every session you can do, you can ask your own questions or whatever. And a lot of times a spirit might not want to, talk to me, but it might want to talk to Angie or Noah or Daryl or anybody. And if you do plenty of sessions, you'll find out who this spirit is connecting with.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows what the Estes method. You go under and you just ask random questions, and the person that goes under just, pretty much answers whatever they hear off the spirit box.
Yeah.
And see if it's relatable.
I figured I'd let you answer since y'all are one. It's your show.
Not my show, it's your show.
It's your show.
Thank y'all for letting us on here.
Hey,
it's your show.
Hey, it's your floor right now. Yeah, it's y'all's time to shine. And thanks for participating, by the way. My opinion on the spirit box is, again, it's regulated. The radio is regulated by the FCC. So if you're getting curse words, you're getting words that aren't commonly used today, then you might have something that's you can't explain. I don't want to call everything paranormal. I don't call everything a ghost. I'm not quick to jump on that. But if you're getting words like, the curse words, bitch, fuck, all that stuff, then you possibly have something that you can't explain. However, if you're getting biscuits $4.99 at
like the one time I got blah 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 high blood pressure.
Yeah, if you're getting that, then you're probably getting a radio station, and I wouldn't say that you're communicating with anything. So just if you're using a spirit box out there, be mindful of what you're hearing. We've had times where I got called the N-word several times.
Yeah.
But I get called that everywhere on the spirit box. But look what we're investigating. She got called a harlot. That's not a common word that you're going to hear today.
Yeah.
Stuff like that you might hear. You might be communicating with something that's not in this world. So be mindful. What else do you guys like to use? I know you said the recorder. I've heard you say that before, Ronnie. Daryl, I know you said you armed with that recorder. What kind of stuff y'all gotten on that?
As far as recorders and stuff like that, I've been lucky enough that there again at St. Albans. We were down in, I guess it was, trying to remember, was I always get it confused. Lobotomy or phlebotomy? I think it's
Lobotomy.
Lobotomy.
That's right. We were down there, and question was asked at that time. It was only one female with us, and so a question was asked, how many was in the room, and over the recorder came and it was a woman's voice, 6, and it was 6 of us. Now the lady was to my left, voice was over to my right, and so that picked up real well. So it was had my cousin. He was actually holding a light above his head, and he said, "What am I holding over my head?" And we picked up light. So yeah, we picked up a couple good stuff. St. Albans never fails.
Have y'all been to St. Albans?
Nope, we have not. It's bucket list for sure. we were actually just talking about that the other day. Aside from just like a basic tour, we have not investigated any sanitariums or asylums, and we definitely wanted to. That's definitely on our bucket list for sure.
We're more the rookies of the field as far as like, so when we started I was doing it before her, and I was more of the houses, going to people's houses that were haunted, the locations, so to speak, type thing, people's houses that people have been murdered in. I didn't even know there was a paranormal world out there when I started investigating. When I started, I was so close to the whole, you could actually go to these places and pay to investigate. I didn't know about stuff like that. I was more on the side of, I would get invited to places that were somebody died in or murdered in. I grew up in a funeral home. My dad worked in a funeral home, and we just knew places where people died in or locations that were rumored to be haunted. So we were able to investigate there, and of course the graveyards, stuff like that. It wasn't until more recent where I discovered there's other people that do this stuff. So that's when I started getting more open with going to places and paying to do this. Like I was against paying to go investigate for a long time in the beginning. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not paying. And then I realized, okay, in order to further the science and knowledge of investigating, I got to pay to play. So here we are.
Well,
another one that ought to be on your bucket list, one of my personal favorites, is Old South Pittsburgh. That's I've had real good experiences down there.
Old South Pittsburgh.
That's down in Tennessee. Down
below Chattanooga. It's
Chattanooga. Yeah.
It's close to the Alabama-Tennessee state line.
Yeah.
Chris, you hear that? I'm heading to the Alabama-Tennessee state line.
Well, let me tell you a story about that. When we went, Ronnie D owns it now, but before, there was a lady, I can't remember her name because I get her mixed up with Tina Mattingly from Waverly. But I think her father was a doctor and they owned it at the time. But we went Friday the 13th. We were locked in there until Sunday. So we went through one night and we had a camera down one of the hallways, down to the wings, and our light wouldn't reach the end of the wing. So Alan and myself talked about, hey, let's get out of here tomorrow and go to Walmart down the road and get reflector tape and put it on all the doorknobs, because the claims were doors would open and shut throughout the night. And of course, we got a DV running the whole time we're there. So we were going through during the day, taping up all these doorknobs all the way down the wing. And as we were coming back towards the center where there's a nurse's station, I shit you not, there was a man whistling in between me and Alan were probably 5 foot apart.
Oh, wow.
Just out of nowhere, this guy started whistling. And it shocked, I'm getting cold chills thinking about it, but it shocked me and Alan because we're sitting there looking at each other going, what the hell?
Right.
And it was walking down the hall. So we followed it as it whistled all the way down the hall through surgery and the nursery. It turned a corner and came all the way back down the hall to the elevator. When we got to the elevator, it stopped. We never heard it again the rest of the time we were there.
Wow.
And here we are, me and Alan are like kicking ourselves in the ass because here we are putting tape on doors, getting ready for the night, and it's during the day, and none of us have a camera or a recorder going while we were doing this. But we did have the DVR system, and it did pick up the whistle, just not as loud as we wanted it to. Just in that area where the camera was. But after it got so far down the hall, it didn't pick it up. But we did catch it, and it was a good catch. But yeah, y'all need to go to St. Albans, and you have to go to Old South Pittsburgh.
Well, I'm just like Ronnie. I had a pretty much a fantastic. I'll tell you this one about Old South. And there again, it was down one of the hallways, and there was 3 of us. And of course, I was the last man in line. We were investigating the hallway because at the end of the hallway, it was just enough light where you could see shadow just kind of darting around from left to right. So we figured we'd just walk a little bit closer. And the majority of the room's doors opened into the room.
Right.
And I had one was probably, I don't know if it was a utility closet or something like that, but it swung open into the hallway. And as we were walking by it, of course, I was recording, and that door come by and hit me right in the arm. Of course, my recorder went up against the side of the wall, and of course, the batteries and everything, it just exploded. But it was opened up hard enough where it left a goose egg on my arm.
Good
And
God.
of course, I took pictures of that. So that was the craziest thing I'd ever seen in my life. I never had actually had a door open up on me, but that was the Old South just
Right.
felt like St. Albans every time you go down there. And I think these places actually remember you. The more you go, the more you get. So they remember. So yeah, love Old South.
Now, let me touch on that really quick, because we were having that conversation over the weekend about places that are frequently investigated that spirits may remember the equipment from so many teams utilizing the same pieces of equipment. Because I know we have discussed before, some spirits back in the 1800s aren't going to know, hey, can you go up and touch my REM pod? They don't know what the hell a REM pod is. But if you bring the same pieces of equipment and the next team bring the same pieces of equipment and so on and so forth, eventually they're like, okay, I remember what this is, and I know if I touch it, it goes off. Do you think that goes hand in hand with remembering the people that frequent that location? And this is a two-part question. Alan said St. Albans definitely remembers you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I feel like, I'm like him. I believe that 100%. The more that we go there, and we go there quite a bit as far as Bedford, and I think it actually knows each person
individual.
So, yeah, each individual. So and it gives each individual something different. Yeah, as far as equipment wise, I feel like like most kids, so I know they didn't have it back then if it was, but I think if it's got lights and sounds like that, I think it's more curiosity.
Right.
That they'll play with that. And I think that they'll just, it's to see what they can do. So they'll try to trigger something like that. I think more along the lines of them learning what they can and can't do.
Right.
So, of course, that's an opinion, but.
I mean, I'm right there with you on that. And I think you would agree, because we've had that discussion, like the curiosity piece, like, what is this?
Yeah.
If you have a tripwire, like, what are these lights? Like,
I love to hear everybody's opinion.
Why are they here? So the second part of that question is, do you feel like a location can actually be over investigated? Like investigated too much? And why do you think that is? Like, what do you think the repercussions, I guess, to the spirits are?
Well, one of the main guides at Tala is Copperhead, Greg Graham, and he was there for so many years that he had, he got on pretty much first name basis with a lot of things that are there. Do you know anything about Tala? It's probably the most haunted place in America.
For those that don't know, that's Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm just.
I know.
But he stepped away from Trans-Allegheny for probably 6 years, and he just went back this past year. And I talked to him 3-4 times a week, and he told me this weekend, he says, I had a guided tour Saturday night, and so-and-so came out and talked to me after I've been there for 6-7 months now. And, I've been looking for them, and they hadn't communicated, but they decided the night of the tour this past weekend to come out and, let him know that they're back. And I believe that certain people leave certain places that are a part of it, makes things step away. And I also do believe, when you have these teams that are just going in there interrogating everything. So we get most of our great evidence when we go in there, and we'll ask a few questions, but then we'll turn around. We're discussing ourselves about maybe the room or the history of the room or whatever, and we'll get interaction like that more than, hey, what's your name? Hey, how old are you? We do that sometimes, but we just don't interrogate them all the time.
Yeah.
We'll let them come get into our conversation, and that works really good. But then you got 100 other teams going in there. What's your name? How old are you? What year is it? What color are your eyes? How'd you die? That's the only question I never asked.
Yeah. Do you
I
know
never asked how you died.
Oh yeah. And
I believe there are spirits out there that don't know that they've passed yet.
oh yeah.
They're trying to figure out what's going on, and it might be been past 100 years, but they're still trying to figure it out. They might not know they're dead. I never ask, how did you die? It just makes no sense to me. They might not know. They might not know they're dead. If you die in your sleep, you don't know how you died.
No. And it's a shock to them.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
I'll say the best REM pod activity that we've ever got was from a game of Uno we were playing. And I've said this on multiple podcasts if you've watched. The best REM pod, and I don't like a REM pod, I can't stand them, but the best REM pod activity we got was from a game of Uno.
It was an intense game.
And I don't ever believe that maybe a small percentage of REM pod activity we got has been paranormal. And I was a believer out of it. We were playing a game of Uno. REM pod goes nuts. I took the battery out, checked the battery, put the battery back in, and REM pod keeps going off. There's nothing I can do to explain it, debunk it, figure out why I did that. And the owner of the Rainworth, Daniel,
Daniel Bonner,
told me that REM pod never goes off in that place. And as soon as he said that, and I'm like, REM pod's going off now. Must be a dead battery. Battery's full. REM pod's just going nuts. She asked the REM if more lights could light up. More lights start lighting up. But it came from us just playing a game of Uno and us getting into an argument over a game of Uno because I happen to win. So I believe you're dead on with don't interrogate the spirits all the time.
No.
Sometimes you just got to let it happen.
Well, see, and the reason I asked this question to you guys to get your opinion is because I really feel like there are certain locations that if multiple teams are coming in, you don't know what the team before you did. You don't know exactly how their investigative style is. And they could be doing cleansing remedies. They could be, I don't know, Ouija boarding it. You don't know what they did. And just like us, if somebody sat in my face and was like, what's your name? How old are you? I would probably be like, leave me the F alone. Like, what is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the time, like you said, if spirits are over 100 years old, we may be talking way too fast and way too intelligence, so to speak.
Man, I know what we're saying.
Yeah, they don't even speak our language, and they're just standing there like, what?
Yeah.
So I do agree with that, but I just wanted to get another team's opinion on that because I'm noticing that there's a lot of locations recently that are being over investigated, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
And we even so much as dropped our investigations down. Like we were there like every weekend going here and there and everywhere. And it's just like we backed off a little bit, let's do a couple a month. In between, we'll hit some cemeteries just during the day or whatever. But, I did want to get your take on that.
I got two questions now. Two things you said that make me want to ask that for the question. So what do you feel about the Ouija board?
I've got a problem with the Ouija board.
I love it. Let's hear it.
Well, I just don't. I think it's just asking for trouble. I really think so.
I agree with you, by the way.
I think it's so easy to actually pull in something you don't want,
right? Or something you don't know.
And that's one thing that at my place it's not allowed.
Right.
You're not going to bring a Ouija board. You're not going to use a Ouija board or anything related to might consider demonic, because I don't want it. I don't want that type of activity that could possibly bring in something that I have to try to get rid of, or
Right.
So
my opinion on the Ouija board is, all right, just about every piece of equipment that we use in modern day now is a type of Ouija board.
I understand that.
But the Ouija board has history.
Exactly.
The Ouija board, I think Hasbro makes it now. They bought the rights, but
That doesn't surprise me.
it's another great gift from Wuhan, China. That's where it originated from thousands of years ago.
Oh yeah, we had this conversation. All kind of horrible things come out of Wuhan.
Yeah, and
Can you say that live?
it's just
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
It has a history that I'm pretty sure all of us at Bedford, we've never. I think we had a private investigation one time, and we went in a house, and the couple they claimed to be the guy's grandmother that lived with them, and he would see her in the back room, and then the interview went along, and finally he came out and said, yeah, it started happening when we had the Ouija board in here on the coffee table, and I'm like, oh hell, it might not be your grandmother, bro. You know what I mean?
I'll put out a disclaimer real quick.
Yeah, I was about to say that because I see Daryl looking.
I know you see the Ouija board. It's decoration. It's actually a doormat.
Yeah, this is my welcome mat that I found with my little car magnet planchette.
And people see the planchette tattoo.
Well, I saw it in the background, so I figured, if I was going to step on toes, I was just going to give you my opinion on it. Because, I mean, some people use these things and not have, any problem at all. It's just the opportunity that something could use that board to get drawn in.
Well, there's several reasons why we don't use Ouija boards. Kim hit on it right here. We always try to be respectful of each location and the spirits at the location. We come with nothing but love and respect to each location that we enter. 1A, I'm stepping into your house. Yeah. I'm not stepping into my house. This isn't my house. Yeah. So I'm coming into your space. So therefore, I'm respecting you. Just as though if I was to enter Ronnie's home or your home, Daryl, I would come in, do I have to take my shoes off? Thank you for having me. If I was invited for dinner, can I bring a dish? Just same respect. We like decoration. It is what it is. It was on sale at like Michael's around Halloween. Okay.
We bought it from Spirit.
Hey, I've seen some awesome looking Ouija boards too. Now.
Alan Marston built some good ones.
I have a real Ouija board from back in the day. It's not in this house.
No,
so let's put it that way.
I will not let it in this house. Right. So, and I am fascinated with the whole thing. I mean, and I've said this, Ronnie, you've been tuned into multiple podcasts of ours. If you were a girl that grew up around the time that I grew up, which is the early 80s, 90s, stuff like that, you went to sleepovers and that's the things you played with. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Let's bust out the Ouija board. Oh my God, something made a noise. Everybody scream, and now we're, doing each other's hair. Okay. So, I've played with them, but that leads me to the second reason why I don't use them on investigations, because they're easily manipulated. Yeah. If you're going to, do a Ouija board session with somebody, you really got to trust that other somebody. Yeah, I know my hands aren't moving, but I don't know if yours are. Yeah. So at that point, it's automatically flawed. So, and Alan said right here, you never know who you're talking to. Exactly. And that's just the realest statement right there. If I open up that realm, like you said, I don't think it's your grandma, buddy. It might not be. And there are negative entities that, will disguise themselves as people you love.
And that opens up another door too. Like I would love to discuss openly. When you're out here investigating, you never know who you're talking to. Even if a spirit tells you its name, or you still never know.
Oh, we lost Ronnie.
We lost Ronnie. But you never know who you're talking to or what you're talking to. It could tell you a name, doesn't mean that's who it is. No. There's a lot of places that's claimed demonic or evil, and I don't necessarily believe everywhere you go is demonic.
That's true.
I believe there are spirits that could be telling you that it's Beelzebub. And it's really Daniel that doesn't like you and wants you out of his house. So he tells you,
right.
I know if I was a spirit, I would play tricks on people all the time. I would tell them
yeah.
things that necessarily weren't true. If I didn't like you, get out of my house. I'd scare the hell out of people.
Excuse
And
me.
I honestly believe, as far as demonic, I'd say, you know, there's slim chance to none that most people ever run into a location that is.
Yeah.
But there are places out there that you just don't want to step foot in. But
Right.
um,
Speaking of those places, have you ever visited a place that you just won't go back to? You're just like, no way.
no, I've never been to any location that I wouldn't return. I mean, I have brought something back with me one time, and that I had to take care of. I had to get rid of here at the house. It was doing some crazy stuff. So that is, even though it's nothing as far as a evil demonic place, you're subject to bring something home.
Sure.
So at any time.
Now, how do you recommend people prevent that? Like, as far as bringing home an entity, is there a way to prevent that?
That's enough damn talking about a week.
He made it back.
Welcome back.
Well, for one thing, before you even leave, you telling whatever that might be attached to you, you stay, you cannot come home. You have no permission to be with you, on you, or anything that you're taking away from that place.
That's right.
And of course, when I get back to the house, I say a few words as far as I try to cleanse myself or ground myself before I walk into the door. So it's just a kind of a ritual that I do. And of course, I've had real good luck. I started doing all this after the fact, after I brought something home. And knock on wood, I hadn't had any more issues. So,
yeah, I think that's really good advice for those that are out there that are just getting into the paranormal field. Always, rule of thumb, we always say hello and we always say goodbye.
Absolutely.
Those are two things that we always do. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself. When I walk into a reportedly haunted location, I walk in, I say, hello, my name's Courtney. I'm just here visiting. And before I exit, thank you for communicating with us. Goodbye. You cannot follow me home.
Exactly.
There's only been one location that I think that we've investigated that I stepped outside and actually used some Palo Santo and cleansed myself before I got in my own vehicle. Not because I had a personal negative experience. I just felt negativity.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that to carry on, on the drive home. I had a long drive home. So, just for precaution, do we carry sage bundles? Yes, we do. We carry, Palo Santo, crystals, things like that. And like you said, I think it's really important to ground yourself before you come back into your own home.
So let's get into some controversy.
I like controversy.
How y'all feel about the prices of equipment these days?
Oh, Ronnie, here we go. I'm just going to sit back on this one.
I had to do it. I got to know.
Well, I think we all have the same opinion about that, especially when a big known company moves into town and still, rapes you.
Some people don't have a problem with it.
I gotta say this. I like Sean Porter and I like Ghost Stop, but I've never bought any of his equipment. It's too much. And then, I've done some research here lately. I'm making three music boxes now, and I've looked at the prices to make them. He's making 400% on that.
Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And before
let me know when you release it. I'll buy one.
I was going to say, before we go any further, I've told Sean straight up. I've told him, I said, we're friends on Facebook. If you ever tune into one of my podcasts, please do not be upset. But we talk about your prices sucking every podcast. Oh, yeah. And I told him that. And he said, this isn't the first time I've heard that. That was his response. So
he don't be that high.
He don't.
I don't say nothing that can't be repeated.
No. So I told him, I'm like, now with that being said, have we purchased Ghost Stop equipment? Yes, we have. But we also support local as well.
Yeah.
So, like Sean said, Ronnie, when you get done with the music boxes, and you go through the whole beta testing and stuff like that, please let us know. I would love to support local.
Yeah, I feel that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
I just feel that the prices of this stuff, and mine is more for the new people getting into it,
right?
Because we get
a turn off.
We hold public investigations at a cemetery locally. I can't publicly say it, just because of the agreement we have with the cemetery. But we hold public investigations, and number one question I get is, where can I get equipment from?
Yeah.
And I have to go through a whole long list of different places because I don't want to send new people who are just getting into the paranormal field to places where they're going to spend an arm and a leg to do this, to do what we do. And if you try to explain to a new investigator, all you need is a cell phone and a recorder, they look at you like you're crazy because they don't understand, like, well, why do you have this, that, and the third? And I don't want to send them somewhere where they're going to spend, I looked at a recorder that this one company has, and I looked at the same recorder on Amazon, and it's like $50 or $60 more that they're selling the same recorder for. And I'm like, why? I get it. The building costs like $3 million, and you got employees and machines and this, that, and the third. But I'm like, still, man, you're hurting the expansion of the field at that point.
Right, because it will turn somebody away. It really will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I'm making $13 an hour working somewhere, and my finances are limited, and I've got bills or a kid, and I want to happen to get into the paranormal field because I'm excited, and I walk into a store and I see that a recorder is going to cost me $100.
That nothing's under $300.
I'm going to turn right around and say, this ain't the field for me to get in.
Okay. Not many people know me or know who Bedford Paranormal is, but a piece of advice for all newcomers in the paranormal field. What you see on TV is TV. All the equipment they use is paid for by the network, most of all. Second of all you need to investigate a location to get started is your recorder and a flashlight.
Amen.
That's all you need.
Yep.
And as you mature into the field, you'll see the stuff you want to work with and what you don't. Don't use something because somebody else is. I did an investigation with Amy Bruni one time, and Amy Bruni said that the production. I do like ghost hunters because I know that they're legit. One reason why Grant left because he made it not, but they went into a location to film a production company wanted to start faking evidence. Jason Haas said, under my name, you're not. So Amy Bruni told me they were there for 3 days at a location, had to wear the same clothes every day and make it look like. And then you look at it, they got film compressed into 1 hour. So then you turn around and you take 3 days of it and compress it into 1 hour. It's TV. Another thing, when you go to these locations, if you go to any St. Albans, for instance, every show you suicide bathroom, bowling alley, boiler room. That's the 3 spots. Get off the beaten path. A lot of people have heard so many stories about that bowling alley and so many stories about the boiler room. I'm gonna tell you, St. Albans, it's anywhere in there. And we've spent enough time in that building to know. So to the newcomers, don't try to overwhelm yourself with high price of equipment. Make sure it's something you want to do. Get in the field. All you need is a flashlight, and all you need is a $40, $50 recorder from Walmart. You can get the flashlight and the recorder from Walmart. And then once you get into it and start learning and find out, hey, why am I doing this? I'm a thrill seeker, or do I care about the field? Then start investing money into it. Don't try to do it up front. Because paranormal investigating is very, very boring. It's boring in real life.
Very. And you know, you touched on that. What a lot of people don't understand is we didn't just go to one store and purchase all of our equipment in one shot. Like, this is equipment that we've accumulated over the course of the many years that we've been doing this, you know, and stuff like that. So, but I mean, when we were asked on our last public investigation, I bolted out Amazon, Five Below. Somebody yelled out Temu.
Yeah, that's Howie's spot. Temu.
Yeah. So, you
Shout
know,
out Howie, Ed Odell.
And Kim Brady said, I've gotten EVPs on my cell phone recorder with voice memos. You know, speaking of EVPs, for those that use recorders and can capture EVPs, you guys are the MVP, because we have tried for so long. And like, I can't get an EVP to save my damn life.
We finally started getting them on the body cam.
I was going to say, we have picked up just recently in the last 30 days, like 3 or 4 EVPs off of his body cam that we didn't even know were there until we were reviewing evidence. And it was so exciting when we got them, because I was like, holy crap. And then just recently, we started hearing disembodied voices. So like this Saturday, we were in the cabin. There was only 3 of us. We were waiting on our other team members to arrive. And we heard humming. I mean, clear as day, like it was like the person was standing in front of me. And we were all looking at each other silent. So I was like, that's crazy. Of course, it's
when I don't have no recorder, no video.
Yeah.
No, nothing going on.
Howie said that was me. So you were there in spirit, Howie? Ha ha ha. That was my joke.
I'm trying to get on Ryan Jones level with EVP.
Yes. You know, so, but I mean, you've got to, reviewing evidence, like Ronnie said, paranormal investigating is boring. You know, unless you're getting massive activity, and then I get my scientific side. So Sean's beta testing a piece of equipment from Boo's Paranormal right now. And
the RW1.
Yep, the RW1. And we had this set up at the cabin, and it was across from a music box. And the RW1 essentially is, I'll let you explain what that is. It's a sonar.
Basically a sonar.
Okay, so it sends out a sound wave, and when it hits a solid object 4 feet away, it will ping like a sonar, just like on a boat. Okay, so, or a non-solid object, i.e. a spirit. So every time the sonar, and it pans what, 180?
I believe it's 180.
180 degrees. There's like a little camera, and it pans back and forth. So every time it would come to a certain point, the music box would start going off. And I'm like, what the hell? So, you know, that was like an hour and a half of debunking. That's when it becomes interesting, because you're literally sitting there like trying to figure out, why is this going off? Why is that going off? What's causing this? If the REM pod goes off, you know, what made it go off? Is everybody in airplane mode? Did somebody's cell phone ring? Did a 2-way go off? You know, things like that. So the science side is exciting, but the reality of paranormal investigating is exactly what Ronnie said. It's very boring. And I've said it time and time again. It's staring at a wall and hoping the wall talks back.
And leading into that, to the newcomers, don't be afraid to call somebody and ask them their opinion.
Yes.
And accept their opinion. That's the biggest thing, is accepting other people's opinion of what's paranormal, what's not. The first thing I did was call Howie, and I called the guy who made the equipment, and I said, hey, this is what happened. What's your opinion? But moving on from that, Bedford, what got you guys into this? Like, what started you? Y'all didn't just wake up one day and say, I want to be a paranormal investigator. So
you're first.
In kindergarten?
You want me to go first? All right. I had a cousin that was an investigator, and for some reason, I don't know, out of the blue, he asked me one weekend if I wanted to go ghost hunting, and I said, ghost hunting. I said, yeah. I said, I don't know what it is, but I'll try it. So took me ghost hunting. Matter of fact, that was the first time I ever been to St. Albans, and so. And nothing ever happened as far as, to me, but, the way it was done and what was being done, I kind of, it intrigued me, I guess, and had a little interest in it. I was still a skeptic though, but the next time actually, coming up the steps from Alcoholics and in that stairwell, 3 times. First time my cousin had saw, we were just upstairs and walked by it, and he was the only one that saw something, a shadow figure, what we called pig face or something like that. It looked like a deformed figure. So the guy that was also with us, him and I never did see it. It was just my cousin. But whatever it was, it scared him silly. And he was just white and pale white. And so we later on that night, we were down in Alcoholics, and the other boy that was with us, he decided he was going to go up steps. Well, he saw something in a stairwell, same stairwell, and he actually fell down the steps. Well, I thought it was so funny. I mean, he didn't get hurt, but you know how you see somebody fall, it's kind of comical. So, I actually laughed. I tried not to, but I laughed. And, the old saying is laughing catches. So you don't laugh at something. Well, later on that night, we were actually going back up that same stairwell. And of course, I was just like a little duck in a row. I was the last one. And I can still feel to this day a hand touch me in my back. And it kind of, felt like it helped me up the step. But from that point on, I was in then. So I actually had my first experience, and it went from being a skeptic to not believing to instantly believing something was out there. So that's how I've been ghost hunting ever since. That's probably been close to, I guess, probably 10 or 12 years. That's about the same time I met Bedford and started hanging around with all of them. So we had our own little group, my cousin and I. So we were always with Bedford somewhere along the line. So that's how we got to become friends and everything. And then, of course, our group kind of faded out. And then they picked me up like old stray dog. So, which I was glad of that because I needed somewhere to go.
We feeding him though. We feeding him.
Hey, did you feed him?
Yeah, we feeding him.
Well, that's why he's back.
Before I get started, I see in the chats our boss Alan May is out there.
Yep.
What's up,
Alan May?
Yeah.
He says he ain't the boss, but he's the boss. But I got into it.
Experiences as a child.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see the comments.
I do now. They came on when it booted me off and picked me back up. Yeah. But as a kid, I seen some things throughout the years that the more I think about it, I wasn't afraid of it. But then again, I didn't want to sit there and believe it was something. I would I'm trying to make all this short because I got a long history of it. But I lived in Oklahoma for years, and at one point I had a babysitter after school, and her uncle passed away, and we went to their house. And then you go in the front door of the house. There was a big main living room, the kitchen, a bedroom, and a bathroom in the back. To the left was the main master bedroom. Well, the uncle had passed away, so we were there visiting. And all of us kids were like, there's a game in the closet in the master bedroom. It was Trouble. Y'all remember that game?
Oh, yeah.
But we brought it out in the living room, and we heard a door slam. And we went back in there, and the closet door was shut, and the coat hanger on the door was doing this number. And don't know what it was. I know it was 3 kids, including myself, the niece, and the aunt. Nobody else in the house. No windows open or anything. But after that, I had things all throughout life that, anything from a reoccurring dream, and like I had a man chasing me down in a dream, and I'd have it almost every night. And then when my grandpa, this man was at my grandfather's funeral. I don't know how to explain that.
Huh.
So finally, finally, I moved into a house in Boonesboro, and things were going on in the house. My dad was flying to Texas to see my sister because my sister lives in Texas, and he spent the night. So we had to be in Roanoke at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we got up the next morning, and I'm driving to Roanoke, and we're all trying to wake up. He just looks over at me and says, "Hey, some woman kept calling my name last night." I was like, "What?" So there are no women in the house. He goes, "I swear, I thought I was asleep, but I woke up." He said, "They kept saying, Ronnie, Ronnie, Ronnie." He said, "I even sat up in the bed and looked." And I said, "What?" And then the lady said, "Ronnie, one more." So I said, "You're crazy as hell." That's what I told him. "You're old and crazy." So I went on, and soon after that, I had a wreck, and I had therapy. Beth Rini was my therapist, and I noticed she lived 3 houses down from me. So I'm in there, and she's working on my arm. She goes, "You know anything about your house?" And I'm like, "What is there to know?" She said, "I shouldn't tell you here because it's a professional place of business." She goes, "But there's nobody in here. I'll tell you. A man from the railroad owned it. Him and his wife separated. She got that house, and he got the other house. And she lived in that house with her and her dog. And she was an outgoing woman that worked in the yard all the time, planted plants, and visited with neighbors. For a couple of weeks, they didn't see her, so Beth Rini called for a wellness visit. When they got there, they found her and her dog dead in the house.
Oh God.
Damn.
So as time went on, I would be sitting watching TV, and I'd see the light switch in the kitchen. I would hear it, and I see the light come on. I turn around and look, and you can see the switch go off. Then I started getting curious. And before my dad passed away, I was talking to him on the phone. I had this big entertainment center, had 3 doors on it, and I'm talking to him on the phone. All 3 doors opened up, and I said, "Dad, all 3 doors opened up on my entertainment center." He goes, "Well, it's probably leaning forward on the carpet and blah, blah, blah." I said, "It's been sitting there for 3 friggin' years. It's not going to open up today." So, long story short, my dad passed away. My sister came in. She was there for a few minutes. She goes, "Where's your dog?" I said, "Sis, I don't have a dog." She goes, I said, "I had these big sun windows in the kitchen." I said, "The neighbor's dogs run through the yard." "No, in the house." I said, "I don't have a dog in the house." And then my buddy, he came over and lived with me for 6 months, and he worked third shift. And he went to bed one morning, and he got up, and he come in there because I worked third shift too, but I couldn't go to bed like him. And he goes, "There was a dog jumping on my bed and jumped off the bed and ran through the door." I'm like, so this house was very, very
Ghost
active.
dog.
And then somebody told me at work, I worked with Alan May, told me that he was in the paranormal field, and maybe he could help. So I talked to Alan. Alan ended up inviting me to a meeting with Bedford Paranormal. And 2 months later, I was standing on the USS North Carolina, and I was hooked after that.
I love it.
So let's back it up a minute. You lived in Boonesboro?
I did on Cedar Lane Court off of Coffee Road.
I knew I liked you for a reason. I grew up in Boonesboro.
Yeah, I liked it up there.
My school bus used to drive through Coffee Road.
So let's see here. Jonathan Graham, if you guys were talking about Gravity Hill near Danville earlier, I used to go there all the time as a teenager. Satan's Bridge is right down the road. There used to be an old abandoned house across from Gravity Hill that was supposedly haunted, and I believe it burned down. Not sure if it's still visible because it was very grown up around there the last time I went by. I grew up in Danville. Those are always fun places to go. See, I missed the first part of the show, so I'm not sure. No, Jonathan, you even though you missed the first part, you are right. Like, Gravity Hill is super cool. We're probably going to go out there with some equipment this weekend. We don't have anything planned, is what it is. But
both of y'all got amazing stories of how y'all got to feel, though.
I like hearing about childhood stories because I don't have any like cool childhood, like I saw apparitions or any past loved ones or anything like that. I have a very boring story, so which I've talked about on previous podcasts. So I'm always interested to hear about how people grew up, so to speak, around the paranormal. I think that that's fascinating. My mom my mom was a very spiritual person, so she was always seeing stuff and talking about things. But me, I just couldn't wait to go outside and play with my friends. So I'm just like, oh, she's talking that crazy stuff again. So, of course I got hooked over watching some of the shows that were on TV. And I was like, okay, if they can do that, I can do that too. But again, I went out with my cell phone at first, my cell phone and a flashlight. Those were my two first pieces of equipment.
We all started, cell phone and a flashlight.
And then over the years, we've just conjured up boxes after boxes, as Ronnie says, a truckload of equipment.
So y'all got any investigations coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Old Scott County Jail in Tennessee on July 12th. And then the night after, we're going to Rugby Village in Tennessee. We tried to do the trifecta and go to Brushy Mountain the same weekend, but Brushy was booked that weekend. I was going to Trans-Allegheny with Middletown, and I heard today that it got canceled.
Oh no!
So
that's unfortunate.
That's all right. We're gonna get Middletown in on something here. Y'all guys too.
I was gonna say, let's all collaborate.
I'm down.
Well, see, we do we try to do a lot for St. Albans. We did EnigmaCon for 6 or 7 years, was it, Daryl?
Yeah, at least.
Just and there was a paranormal conference that had speakers, anybody from Miranda Young, Tennessee Race Chasers, Pat O'Keefe, the Connor sisters, Greg Graham, Copperhead, Glider. It was a bunch of speakers that we're so thankful we could get them, and we sold out every year. And it was a big 2-day event, and every dime that we made off of that went back into the location. And we're very close with Marcel and the whole team there. Even a couple of us, we volunteer on a monthly basis up there. So sometimes we get a choice of going, and we decided this past year that EnigmaCon, this is an anniversary date, it's been a year, but we wasn't going to do EnigmaCon anymore because it's so much work. I mean, Angie and Alan are the brains of the whole thing. The rest of us just, did what we were told to do to get it up and going. But the day after EnigmaCon was done, we were planning for the next year. So it took a whole year, and it took away from us going out and investigating. So we didn't get to hit as many places. I think we used to do 2 or 3 big investigations a year, and then the 2022 we went to the Crescent. That was only investigation. So we decided that it was so much work, we need to get back into investigating. So we said that we were going to stop doing it, but we're going to do some other things for St. Albans on a smaller scale. But this past year, Angie, she got diagnosed with cancer.
Good night,
so we
Alan.
all kind of like took a break. Night, Alan. We all took a break to kind of support her through the year. And she has one more surgery, and she's kind of back on her feet now, but we're going to go to July 1st investigation for the year. She should be all done and with all her treatments and everything, and kind of back to normal. But we're going to do stuff for St. Albans on a smaller scale.
Yeah, we're definitely sending our prayers to Angie for a rapid recovery and all that stuff. I hate to hear that, fellow investigators are down. But we'll definitely say a prayer for sure. Yeah. Speedy recovery and healing. Good healing vibes.
Not that any of us are any better than the other. We're a big family. But she definitely is the corner post of our group too, because she was always on. Hey, we talk every day, and she got on chat and say, "Hey, we're going to so and so September." I'll say, "Oh, cool." She was always on it, and then Enigma Con, her and Alan, I mean, they crushed it every year. We sold it out.
Awesome.
And yeah, I mean, we had some pretty big names. And like I said, we're thankful for everybody that was involved.
Oh, yeah.
And we like putting the money back into St. Albans because these places with this history need the money. People don't understand it.
Right.
That to keep it up and going. And
That's
if it's
right.
not for the paranormal field, it's for the historical part of it.
And I'm working with one of those myself.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
before we wrap it up, if anybody wants to follow you on social media, what, are you Bedford Paranormal on Facebook, TikTok? What social media platforms do you have?
Okay. Right now, the easiest way, and it under construction because it was old and we hadn't touched it in years, so we're redoing it. Best way now, if you want to get in touch with us or see anything, which all of it is kind of older stuff, but we're getting ready. Like I said, after Angie gets back on her feet, we're going to start a TikTok page, Instagram. We're talking about doing a podcast. Facebook is about the earliest thing that you can get to now, and we're even talking about writing a book. So
cool.
That's in the works too.
Yeah, keep us posted on that for sure.
The way we're going to do it, we're going to we went through all of our, like I said, we got over 80 investigations. I mean, anywhere you can think of. You look up the top 10 most haunted places in America. Depending on whose list you look at, we've been to 8 of them. So everybody's going to take 2 locations and write a chapter on each location, personal experiences and history and all. So as soon as Angie gets back on her feet, we're going to start that, which we kind of started it before all this, but kind of got put on the back burner. Everything's gotten put on the back burner.
Hey,
and we're going to do a YouTube page and pull out some of our old stuff and post it and get people's opinions on it and take it how it comes, I guess.
That's awesome.
And keep feeding Daryl.
That's right.
Gotta keep feeding Daryl. But keep us posted on the book. And also, before we go, Daryl, are you currently booking your location for other teams right now? Because I definitely
you can reach me through the Facebook page. It's the Clover Hill Village. Just send a message through that, or you can call me at 434-238-0662. And I can try to get you all booked up and ready to investigate a new place. It's that I'm just now getting open this year. If you're looking for a lot of history, and of course, like I say, it's a brand new place. So hopefully you'll get a whole lot of good responses. I know I've been hogging it for about 10 years. So, and it's been awesome place. And so I just decided to go ahead and share it. And like Ronnie said, as far as St. Albans, all the money goes back into the village itself.
Awesome.
Great place to investigate. Please try to book. And I'll be seeing y'all in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, I think, are we booked in June?
No. It's actually May. Let's see. Is it June?
No. We're June
4th, ain't it?
22nd.
22nd.
Yep,
I'm getting my booking.
We will be there. Clover Hill Village, y'all, in Appomattox. So much history. It's you've got Civil War history. You've got
Indian history.
Yeah, I was going to say unlimited supply because I can go on. There's Native American history there. Yeah. So definitely check them out. The Clover Hill Village on Facebook. Reach out, get your team, book an investigation. Awesome people. Ronnie, Bedford Paranormal, Daryl, Alan, everybody that I've met from this team has been super awesome, super knowledgeable. If you have any questions or, anything about this podcast, feel free to just, reach out to them on their Facebook page, Bedford Paranormal. They'll be more than happy to help you. Excellent advice for new investigators. We definitely appreciate that as well.
I appreciate y'all hopping on and talking to us, man.
I'm waiting for my St. Albans invite.
Yeah.
Anytime, bro. Anytime. Hey, yeah, we appreciate you letting us come on and talk. I really enjoy doing
we
these and
thank you for
talking to the
letting us on.
people. I didn't yeah, I didn't get to really see the chat until here recently, but any questions we'll be happy to answer. There are no experts in this field, so we don't know everything. We can just give you our opinion and from our experiences, but we're not experts.
No, we're still learning.
There are none.
Last question before you go: orbs or dust?
Dust.
Ron, you're such a
all right. Hold on.
Dust.
If you do not see it with your own eyes,
here we go.
It's not orb.
Party pooper.
It's not. No.
I'm giving you a hard time. I'm giving you a hard time.
I respect what you think and how you feel, and that's fine. But
Yeah,
I've seen too many.
There's a lot of dusty orbs out there. Let's just put it that way.
I saw one that made me rethink it, but I think it was probably dust.
I've seen weird.
Before we go, I'll tell you my orb story. We were at a private location in Brookneal. We had a camera sitting up outside on the porch where they claim to see black shadows all the time. We seen this light come down, and after we analyzed it, it moved 40 feet one direction and 40 feet back in less than 3 frames. It was that fast. I didn't validate that until 2 of our guys were outside and seen an orange orb fall from the tree outside. It just floated down, got to the bottom, and went poof. So I'm sitting there looking at this film going, that's a bug, but it's a really fast bug. And then they seen the one come out of the tree. But orbs are rare, but I've seen a couple with my eyes, but they're rare.
I'm going to have to get up with you, Ronnie, because the one I saw was in Brookfield.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they are rare. I do, but like I said, I've seen some things that I just can't explain. I've seen them, visibly with my own eyes, and then the camera picked them up too. So, or I've had, one that was picked up on camera and fly straight to like a plate that was on the counter, and then the plate flies onto the floor. And the plate had been sitting there for 4 or 5 hours. So I've seen some things with that I can't explain. I like to think that I've become like a bug expert recently, because I'm like, I see it's got wings, it's got this, when you're reviewing evidence, which is just painful in itself, you become friends with a lot of different species of things that fly.
I ask every team. I like to hear the argument.
That's right.
Hey, but I love you guys, man. It was a great interview.
Yep, you heard it here first, folks. Over 80 investigations under their belt. Bedford Paranormal. We appreciate you guys being on our show. We'll circle back around after your investigation in July and see how that goes.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. Maybe we can get some of the bigger important people from the group on here.
Let's do it. Hey, every team member is important.
Right.
Every team member is important. Thank you guys. I hope
thank you.
Thank everybody.
Much love.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.